And hello. I'll assume I was hosting this one, since I
Hmm.
don't think we mentioned who was hosting. But
No.
welcome to Squared Circle Special. I'm now host Chriz, aka the Mole. Joining me for this one is James Phoenix
Hello.
and Marcus Shadow.
What's up?
And we're here to review the King of the Ring, which was shown on the WWE Network last night.
Supposedly live, as it said in the corner of the screen.
Which I believe it was,
Nice.
because that was the SmackDown commentating team.
It was.
Fair enough.
So it must have been last night during SmackDown. So when they filmed it, which that's pretty good because that means you didn't have idiots spoiling it.
Yep.
Except if Lawler's part of the SmackDown team, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
he did the
So-
thing they normally do where they walk to the back to get their music back out when
Ah.
commentators have matches and stuff. Like when JBL went to the back, put on an Acolytes t-shirt and came out with APA.
Yeah. I don't know. I was just thinking, since he came out at the top of King of the Ring, why would he do that if he was already out there? Kind of didn't make sense to me.
Because
He was out there for SmackDown. Then what they would have done is he would have walked to the back. They would have started the King of the Ring and had him come out, like I said, like JBL's done before. Now he just walks to the back, puts on a new T-shirt, and comes out to his music or something, or
Yeah,
Booker T does.
Yeah, you have to
Fair
remember he's already out there, but you have to remember this is supposed to appear to the viewers at home as if this is a live, brand new show. You're not supposed to know it's
It
in the
is.
middle of a damn SmackDown. Yeah, yes, but you're not supposed to know it's in the middle of the taping of another show. SmackDown isn't supposed to take place until Friday, and they do their best to maintain that illusion.
Wrong. Thursday.
Thursday, right? They changed it. Sorry, Thursday.
Which is
Maybe you
it's
missed
stupid
those
considering
matches.
everyone knows it's filmed on Tuesdays anyway.
Everybody knows it's fake too. That doesn't mean to go around touting it's faked. It's called reasonable kayfabe.
Hmm. Fair enough.
But yeah, the tournament seemed to be announced out of nowhere, and
Yeah.
we had a couple of matches on Raw, which we'll probably, I don't know if anyone's going to take that stuff for X marks or not. So I don't know if we wanted to touch upon them because they're still part of the tournament leading up to this.
On Raw, I would say. See, this is tough because the King of the Ring tournament on Raw was most of Raw, so if we take it for this, that kind of kills most of the Raw stuff. I don't know
Fair
if you
enough.
agree, Jim.
I could agree with that. Like I said, it was quite a few, not all of Raw, but it was a large chunk of Raw. Yes.
Let me
Okay,
see.
did you want to run down who won what then quickly, Jim? That way
Sure.
we don't talk about our thoughts and stuff to do that. That's coming Saturday.
Fair enough. So in the first match, Bad News Barrett defeated Dolph Ziggler. R-Truth eked out a win over Stardust. Sheamus advanced over Dean Ambrose, and Neville moved to the next round over Luke Harper.
Yep, which brought us to the start of the tournament, and the first match of the night was, I believe, wasn't it the Neville match?
It
Yes.
was. It was Neville versus Sheamus.
I thought so, yeah. Which this wasn't I didn't think this was a bad match.
No.
No, it was a good story told where Neville was trying to build his offense, and Sheamus was targeting those injured ribs of Neville from the other night. So.
Yeah, I thought it may have made Neville look a little useless.
A little
That
bit. I
may
think
have just been me.
I think they're going for the underdog booking, kind of like they've been doing with Roman Reigns lately, of like the Superman booking.
Oh,
Which-
but
For Neville
But-
works because they're trying to they're trying to show he's got the injury and he's trying to overcome the injury, which I think that kind of works.
oh, to be fair, that works. Superman booking works, but when was the last time you saw Superman booking, as people call it, where it's like Cena needs to overcome the odds, and the only way he does it is Dolph Ziggler comes out in the middle and has to cut an average promo to interrupt Sheamus.
True.
He never overcame anything. Sheamus just got screwed by Dolph.
Yeah, after Dolph got screwed by Sheamus.
Yeah, Dolph got screwed by Sheamus. Sheamus got screwed by Dolph. I'm saying it makes Neville look bad because on this pay-per-view you have that, and then what's to come in the final. Neville looked useless in this tournament, and I also made the case to Jim earlier before we started recording this at the top, Marcus. I don't know if you'd agree, but this tournament had the opposite effect it was supposed to for Neville. For me, it made me not like Neville because all his because I realized his matches are okay, but if you put them back to back in WWE, NXT, awesome. On Raw and stuff, what all they use him for is it's a boring match until he hits the red arrow. It's
True.
literally just all building to that one move where he'll get his ass kicked and just do that one flip. And it's like that can work. And it's like that can work, but it makes him look like a one-move wonder. Like Cena, for example, may hit the stunner or he may hit the AA, but he also has the STF and stuff. He doesn't look like one move. He looks like a multiple series of moves, but he doesn't just look like one move. And it's like Adrian Neville's one move. It's like if they put him in that same match Orton was in at Extreme Rules, where the red arrow's banned. Well, great, he's lost. He's got nothing.
Yeah, and that's probably goes into what we talked about a while back, what you mentioned to me of WWE is probably, and this is what we were afraid of when NXT people start getting pulled up to the main roster. They're booking him probably that way, so the rest of the established roster doesn't look like shit. Yeah, because think about it, if they let him actually go out there and actually wrestle like he does on NXT, he'll put that entire roster to shame.
Well, we don't know that.
It depends on who. Well, it depends on who else they actually let wrestle. Like if they unleashed Rollins, I think they could put on a good match. If they unleashed a lot of people, I think they could put on a decent match. But most of the established wrestlers, I don't think could do it because they've been doing this for so long. And I don't know. And as you pointed out, like through the Attitude Era and whatnot, and even before that, the established wrestlers, I don't know how much actual wrestling talent they have.
Well, to be fair, before the Attitude Era, quite a lot, considering that was the era of Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, Mr. Perfect and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's quite a lot right there.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the main faces aren't... Oh, hang on, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, my screen just went black, that was all.
Yeah,
That's been a screensaver.
Can you hear?
Yeah, it was a screensaver. My screen went black. I was like, oh no! But, yeah, I was going to say, with the Neville situation, or whatever you want to call it, for me... I understand it because I don't think it's necessarily they're holding him back to make the others look good. I think they're holding him back because he was in a developmental tour of territory. Look at the others when they come up from developmental tour of territories. Like even Cena, as much as people rag on Cena, he came up from a developmental territory. He's in goofy ass shorts against Kurt Angle, and he's doing roll-ups as a finisher. Mm-hmm. He had to establish a character on TV on the main show and get used to performing on the main show, and then they pushed him. I think that's the problem. But the problem is because NXT's shown on the network, people expect more from the NXT people, and it's a little unfair because the second they come up, if they suddenly get like Brock Lesnar year one pushes, a lot of people will resent those guys. Like how fast did people turn on the Ascension?
Yeah.
For doing it almost the same stuff they did in NXT.
And how fast did they turn on Roman Reigns for how fast he got pushed when he's had that established history through NXT? Because the Shield came out of NXT, did they not?
The Shield did, yeah. But people,
they did.
People got annoyed because they wanted Ambrose or Rollins to be the only ones pushed, not Reigns. Apparently, is what they say. But we all know that's bullshit.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the actual match between
the other thing I should. Yeah.
Sorry, you go, Jim.
The other thing about the Sheamus Neville match, before we move on, I think the other reason is because of how Neville is being perceived by the boogers of the main roster. And I think that if you paid attention to it, they actually made it more obvious than they normally do why they're booking him that way. Because if you pay attention to his match with Sheamus, what is it that Neville's good at? He's fast, and he does that high-flying moves. Despite the fact that he is not what one might consider a little guy, because he does the high-flying maneuvers, that is how he is being viewed. Did you notice Sheamus was beating him down, and Sheamus outright screamed, "There's no place for little guys in my ring"? I think the problem is they're viewing Adrian Neville as a Rey Mysterio-type wrestler. they're viewing him as as a little guy, the kind of guy that Vince McMahon doesn't book to the main event, the Daniel Bryan type guy, except instead of technical skill, he's got high flying skill. I think they're viewing him as that type of guy instead of the big power brute, which is the kind of guy that Vince and Triple H like. And I think that was why he was booked in that. He's being booked as the Red Arrow Spot Monkey, is because they're just viewing him as, oh, he's here to do cool technical spectacle, but he's not actually,
They're viewing him like Jeff Hardy.
Yeah, I think it's more Vince and Triple H, because when you see from when he runs NXT that Triple H understands what Neville's capable of. I think it's a matter of he came up and this is what Vince said he had to be until he proves himself, in which case Triple H could probably then talk him into letting him be what he was on NXT and actually being the superstar. That's my opinion, anyway.
It's a possibility.
Like I said, I can agree with that. However, I disagree with the part about Sheamus. The only reason I disagree with the part about Sheamus is because he screamed, "There's no place for little guys in my ring." That's what he's saying about all his opponents, including guys like Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler. Who Dolph Ziggler's not really a little guy, let's face it.
Yeah, and neither is Neville. Neither is Neville, and that was kind of my point.
And Sheamus said about Mark Henry.
I don't remember saying about Mark Henry, but fair enough.
He said about Mark Henry because Sheamus' gimmick at the moment is he's the biggest, baddest person on the roster, and compared to him, everyone else is a little guy. But I'm saying the rest of the part of what you said was true, just not Sheamus saying that, because it kind of makes sense with his new gimmick.
It makes sense with his gimmick, but it makes no sense against guys like Adrian Neville, who are all of 2 inches shorter than him, was my point. Adrian Neville is all of, 2 to 3 inches shorter than Sheamus, and that's not counting his hair. So, it's like, I get that this is supposed to be the gimmick, but at the same time, why would you let Sheamus yell that when it obviously doesn't matter to this guy? I mean, if he said it to Mark Henry, fair enough. I know he said it to Mark Henry, but it seemed like he was saying this to, because Dolph Ziggler is noticeably shorter than Sheamus, but Neville's, I think, a little bit taller. And it seemed like it's like Sheamus and Shane, it's like, okay, are they viewing Neville as a little guy because of his moveset? It's like, what the hell? That's how it appeared to me, but yeah, maybe it was just a gimmick. You might be right.
No, I was saying about the Sheamus bit, that was all. But the rest of what you said about how he's being booked, how he's being perceived, yeah, he's being perceived as a high flyer primarily because he is the man that Gravity forgot.
Mm-hmm.
More on Gravity forgetting people next on X Marks for one of my awards. Mm-hmm. We all know what's coming, don't we, Jim?
Yeah.
Then we cut to some backstage interviews.
Yeah, and mind you, if you're a fan of that fact, you might want to be careful, because if the new king has his way, he'll be the man that everybody forgot.
Yeah, but like I said, with after the matchup, we had a set of interviews backstage. I believe we had one for R-Truth and one for Wade Barrett, but in the other order.
Yes, yeah. Which, by the way, did anybody notice? Did these interviews look racist to anybody else?
Not really. Barrett's was awesome. R-Truth was what the fuck.
I mean the fact that they had, Renee Young was interviewing Wade Barrett, and they had the one black announcer they have interview R-Truth.
To be fair, if they have a black announcer and they don't have him interview a black person because they're worried about that, wouldn't that be racist?
This is true.
But yeah, the interviews weren't bad. The interviews were like R-Truth's element kind of made me laugh. It shouldn't, but it sort of made me chuckle.
He's an issue royal ban on spiders. He should. They're creepy.
Yeah, I mean, he's gonna build a moat, and oh no, I forgot about water spiders.
Yeah, his R-Truth's promo went into the realm, at least for me, of it was so stupid that it was actually kind of funny. It was like, what the fuck is he talking about? And then, okay, yeah, the moat's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think it was his crazy rambling thing he used to do. But
I don't like it, though. I find it funny, I don't like it. I mean, especially since he's following up Wade Barrett's, serious promo, which Wade Barrett did a great job with his promo. And then it's like, and then we get this. I'm like, yeah, you're not winning, dude.
Yep. And then we have Wade Barrett versus R-Truth.
Which was actually a decent match.
Loved JBL on the commentating.
He did do a good job.
R-Truth, he's the last hope of America. Our country's entire hopes rests on R-Truth's shoulders. And I'm like, oh my god, he is right. The final will probably be two English guys if Wade Barrett won. It's like, yeah, R-Truth is the last hope of America. Nice. And I'm like, based on JBL being JBL, I kind of like the fact he was sort of cheering R-Truth because he wants the last hope of America to win. And I was like, that's kind of a funny twist. I kind of like that.
Yeah.
Because I thought he'd be cheering for Wade Barrett because, as they normally do, the heel commentator only cheers heels. No, JBL cheers whoever's right for the character, and that works. That totally works.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what would have been racist, Jim, is if he said, yeah, I like R-Truth. I used to totally love him when he was in my entourage.
Ha.
Only we used to call him Orlando back then.
That would have been funny as hell.
But that would have been extremely racist.
Yes, it would have. But then again, they could have brushed it off because JBL's from Texas, right?
Mm-hmm.
They could have just said, yeah, he's from the South. Although, to be fair, I believe Texas is one of the more racially tolerant states of the South. But yeah, JBL was funny, and it worked for the character. And like I said, the match was actually pretty good. It surprised me.
And also, technically, isn't Texas not part of the South?
It is.
I thought it was too north to be part of the South, technically speaking.
No, it's
If you're going by the divide.
No, not really.
Yeah, fair enough. But yeah, they couldn't have passed it off anyway because they're not allowed to be racist on WWE.
Yeah, I know.
But it's a case of, yeah, the matchup itself was pretty good. This was not bad.
Yeah.
What did Jim think?
It wasn't bad. I didn't think it was too bad. I mean, they put on a decent match. I mean, R-Truth, did what he could do. He, did a little bit of his flying a little bit. He got the crowd riled up with the song. He did his good job, and Barrett took him out. I think most people expected Barrett to win, so they didn't feel the need to drag that out too much because people kind of already knew that R-Truth wasn't going to win. Unfortunately, that's just how he's booked. So I think they did the right thing of basically giving that just enough time for it to be a believable matchup, but not so much that they're dragging it out like, oh, who's going to win? But no, because everybody already knew Barrett was going to win. There was no need to really drag it out or make it any kind of a real back and forth. Everybody knew it was Barrett's match.
Yeah.
Which,
I'm glad Barrett won.
As much as JBL would have us believe otherwise.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad Barrett won, at least semi-legitimately.
Yep. What happened next? I couldn't remember if it was a promo in, but I seem to remember a promo in between the next match.
Yes, I believe
the next match also started pretty fast.
Yes, I believe next we had a lovely video tribute to the late great Vern Gagne.
Ah, that was the one.
Rest in peace, Vern Gagne.
Indeed, Vern Gagne, great legendary superstar, on the founders and owners of the AWA, just always a legend, Hall of Famer.
Yep.
May rest in peace.
Yep. Which it's always a shame when they have to do stuff like that, but
yeah.
And then we had the next match, which was Wade Barrett versus Neville.
The finals.
Yep. And I want to say, called the winner.
You did.
I kept saying Wade Barrett. I wanted this final, and I wanted Wade Barrett to win.
Wait. We missed something. We missed what happened after the Neville Sheamus match, I believe. Because Ziggler stayed out there, and then he ran down there and started beating up Sheamus, and they got into a fight, and a bunch of refs had to come pull him out. And I mentioned this to Jim, which made me go, ooh, I think Dolph kind of fucked up. because they're going at it, and Dolph, Dolph is slinging arms, whatever. Sheamus rolls out of the ring, and he's fine. He's like, oh, I'm gonna get you, Dolph, and goes back into the ring, and they go at it again, and that's when the refs have to pull them apart. And so, as they're flailing, the refs pull him apart, and then Sheamus stands up, and his right eye is like covered in blood. It's like, ooh,
Yep.
Did Dolph kind of punch him where he shouldn't have punched him?
Yep.
And so
Someone
that
either
they
messed that
continue
up or deliberately wanted to be stiffed. Either way, but
yeah,
that looked painful.
But it obviously wasn't. He wasn't as injured or as much in pain as it looked, because he just once he realized he was bleeding, he just took the blood and started smearing it on his chest to further the gimmick.
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds good.
So
Yes,
but yeah, I just wanted to mention that.
All right.
God damn it, Jim.
I think Jim didn't realize he was unmuted the whole time.
I like this man.
Jim.
Jim?
Boy. Jim. Anyway.
Jim?
Jim, you do realize you were unmuted the whole time, right?
Yeah.
I didn't realize I was unmuted. I thought I hit the thing for you. I apologize.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just wanted to cover that because I wanted to mention the whole. I think
Yes.
Ziggler stiffed him hard.
Yeah.
He probably did. And that that happens. He probably did inadvertently hit him. But
and that's going to continue their feud, so they'll probably feud into the next pay-per-view.
He either inadvertently stiffed him, or a couple of times in recent feuds they seem to be doing that. Part of me thinks because they can't blade, are wrestlers deliberately being stiffed?
It's a possibility because
Like we kept saying about Brock and stuff too, because it's like there's too much blood and blading's illegal.
Yeah.
But
Which I don't know if that's a good thing, because that's bodily harm, which is not good.
No, it's not. But then we had the final of Wade Barrett versus Neville, which was an okay match.
It's okay. It told a story, with Neville being the injured one, and his ribs are really hurt, so he wasn't at 100%, which is I'm fairly confident they'll probably go forward with continuing the feud between the two of them, with Neville saying, I wasn't at 100%, I wasn't at 100%, and I can beat you because I've done it once before, kind of thing.
They could do.
Which could be a good feud.
Although the fact he was at 100% or not doesn't matter. Barrett won this one cleanly.
He did.
Because
like I said,
but at the end of the day, it's a King of the Ring tournament. We've had people win them with injured ankles and stuff before now.
True.
And Wade did win, and the end move was kind of cool. Of attempt to do the Red Arrow, land on his feet, run bull hammer.
Yeah.
That was kind of fun. And
that was good. That bull hammer that came out of nowhere.
Yep. But what did you think of this match, Jim?
I love this match. I thought it was a really good match.
Nice.
I thought that great back and forth chemistry. Neville got to show off a lot of his moves. He was doing moonsaults off ropes, flying across the ring, kicking him in the face, everything else. Barrett was keeping it down with the power. He put him in that submission hold to torque and work on those injured ribs from earlier that Sheamus had already worked on, and he was already selling that when he came out. Although I understand why it had to be that way, but it does kind of look bad when Neville sells the ribs when it's convenient, but when he needs to start suddenly doing high-flying moves that should be tearing his ribs apart, there's no reaction whatsoever.
Yep.
But he did a pretty good job selling it when he could, and they put in a great athletic back-and-forth match. That was really good, and I thought the ending was good, except for the fact that the one thing I like is the fact that he did the jump, and you think, oh, a red arrow, and he landed on his feet. I don't mention the fact that wasn't a red arrow, that was a moonsault.
But that's how the Red Arrow starts, and he aborted it when he realized Wade wasn't there, so he just landed on his feet because he's that good. That's how the booking goes, and it makes sense because if you look at the Red Arrow, that's how the Red Arrow starts, because he jumps like he's going to do a moonsault and then he twists in the air. That's why it's such an impressive move, because he literally turns around, so it's not a moonsault.
Yep, which, like the booking and stuff said, he was going for the Red Arrow, and then lands on his feet and rolls back to his feet and stuff, which it was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
Which I was like, yeah, I can excuse the injured ribs and stuff like that. Like I said, like I
Yeah.
can excuse having an injured arm and then doing a power move,
Mhm.
as long as you don't overdo how much you're
Right.
not selling that arm. Like
Right.
for example, Daniel Bryan with an injured arm, if he was to do the yes lock or something like that, completely okay. When he starts to constantly do the yes, 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 it's like that's unnecessary, and
Yeah.
it's not selling your arm.
Right. And I can
Yeah.
excuse it, especially for superstars like Neville, who have high intensity, high flying, like extremely dangerous moves. Because if you're not completely focused on doing the move and putting everything into it, you could potentially fuck something up really bad. And I'm sorry, but superstar safety comes before selling a goddamn injury. And if they're trying to sell the injury, there's a higher probability and the potential there to completely fuck it up. Because if you're trying to sell an injury, then you're going to be trying to do the move not at full impact or full tilt. And a lot of the moves, especially the types of moves again that superstars like Neville do, if you don't do it at full tilt, yeah, you probably shouldn't be doing the move.
To be fair, that's the same with any move.
Yeah, but other moves like power
Like if
bombs
you're,
and like certain
yeah,
power moves,
like a
you can
power
still
bomb.
do it. You can still do it and sell the injury without really risking injury. Is
I
the
would beg,
point? I mean,
I would
yeah, they're
beg to
not gonna.
disagree. I would
Right.
beg to disagree, mainly because one of the things Nash tried to do in his match with Big Show was sell injured ribs and go down a bit while doing a power bomb, snapped Big Show's neck in WCW.
Ah.
Which, yeah, there's a lot of work in those power moves that people just take for granted
Sure.
because they don't look as fancy as the little flips, and it's like, come on.
Yeah, but I mean, he could do like the power bomb, and then after the power bomb, like drop to like one or something, like hold the ribs, or they could
Yeah, but
sell
that's
it
the same.
after
That's the
the
same as
thing.
that's the same as a high flying move. You can do the move and hold your rib afterwards, like RVD frog splash
Well,
style.
that's what Neville did after the fact. He did
Yes,
sell ribs, but what Jim was talking about was when he was running. I'm assuming what he's talking about is when he was running at him and did not sell the injury at all while running. And I was like, well, I can excuse that because if he has to think about trying to sell injured ribs while he's running full tilt and trying not to fuck the move up, that could fuck the move up.
I know.
After the fact, fair enough.
I said I can excuse it with a with doing it a move. I was just saying when you said for guy, because that I can understand it for a guy like Neville. I'm like, but to be fair, that's the same with any wrestler.
Right, but I'm just saying for like moves that the type of moves that he does, like the really high flying extreme stuff, your head has to be into the move entirely from the
It
beginning, and
does.
then you sell it. Whereas with something like a power bomb,
It has to be in it all the way as well,
yeah, it
because
does have to be in it.
if you fuck that up, you can paralyze someone.
Right, but what I was getting at is with a move like that, you don't have to sell it beforehand. Whereas if with the high flying stuff, because there's always such a wind up to it, or there's something you have to do to get into that, as opposed to with the power arm, you're just lifting someone. With something like a lift or like a power move, like I said, you could sell it afterwards, and it would still be believable that you're injured. Whereas with something like what Neville does with the running and the jumping and the flipping, it's like for believable selling, if we're to believe that he's injured, then you need to sell it into it and all the way through it because of what it does to your body. But but you can't do that with moves like that. That's all I was getting at, is with moves like that, you can't do that because it'll seriously fuck it up. Whereas the power moves, you don't have to sell it going into it. You don't have to sell it in the middle of the move. As long as you sell it afterwards, it's still believable because it's like, okay, quick 5-second burst of energy, doom, oh god, my ribs.
Yeah, except for that doesn't make sense anyway. Like I said, that's just people overestimating the flips versus the power move. There's as much work put into some of the other stuff. Like, I don't know, let's say, for example, Undertaker was going to do his last ride and lift someone up to do it. If he's meant to have an injured leg, if you tried lifting something with like a damaged leg, you can't do it. If you've got an injured ribs, you can't do it. So he has to not sell it, and it's not believable. And I mean, afterwards, hold his ribs or something like that, which is the same excuse as the Adrian Neville one. It's just because that one looks more fancier, people just completely write the other ones off, which I'm always like, that's a little disrespectful.
Or with something like that, what we've seen people do in the past is instead of going through the move, they attempt it, can't do it. Their leg buckles or their ribs buckle, and they drop down to one knee, and the guy
Yeah,
just slides off.
and we've
If
seen
that's the way you
people,
sell that move, if you need to
and
sell it from the
we've also
beginning.
seen people with running moves go to do a running move and suddenly stop and fall down. What's the point? What's your point?
This is true.
My point is power moves, technical moves, submission moves and stuff. If you've mastered those moves, there's as much work and safety involved in almost every move. But just because one looks better doesn't mean it's necessarily more dangerous.
No, that's not what It's not what I'm saying, Mole. I'm just saying because those moves are so dangerous. I'm not saying they're any more. I think they are more dangerous, but I'm not saying it takes more to master it. I'm just saying that you don't necessarily have to sell through the move for a power move because you could sell it after the move and it would be just as viable. Whereas with the running moves, the high flying moves and stuff, like the high flying stuff, like if they're just climbing up the rope and then jumping off, you can kind of sell that beforehand and still do it, and it still looks semi-believable. But like a lot of the stuff that Neville does, where he does gets like a lot of running starts and stuff. If you're gonna do the move, you have to do it full tilt. You can't sell it beforehand.
I know, and I said all I was saying was that's the same for a lot of stuff. Like I mentioned the power bomb. I even gave an example of them trying to sell it during the fact, and it hurt and it broke Big Show's neck.
That's why I said you're not supposed to sell it during it. I never said sell it. I said sell it afterwards, and it'll still sell.
I know.
Is what I'm saying.
I know. You're saying the other one you can sell after the fact, and that's still viable. The other one you have to make the excuse for. I'm like, no, it's the same consequence for both, and they have to do it both of either afterwards or not, or go to attempt it and fuck it up. That's what I was saying. Not the fact like, oh yeah, the running one gets more leeway than a power bomb or a choke slam. It's like, okay, you've worked all match on someone's arm, and now they've lifted someone's entire body weight with one arm and slammed it down, but it's okay because they hold their arm 2 seconds afterwards. How's that more believable than you've hurt someone's legs and they run?
True.
Now, that was all I was saying. I was just saying that people give more leeway to flips and fancier fast moves than they do for other moves, which I never liked.
Well, the only reason I did is because yeah, you can, as you've demonstrated and you've said, you can fuck up the big power moves. But I think with those moves, I think it's easier to compensate than it is for something like those really very fast, like high flying, like moves where you, because if you think about it, a lot of those moves, you literally have no control. It's whatever you do in the air, and then it just goes from there. Whereas with the power bombs and stuff, like you said, yeah, you can fuck it up, but I think you can compensate more, which is why I'm like, I could totally see them trying to sell through the move sometimes, depending on what the move is or what point they sell it, without really compromising the safety. Whereas with the running stuff, it's like off the bat, if their head is not fully into the move, that's already compromised safety just because of what they can't control about the move, if that makes sense.
Like I said, it makes sense, but I was just making the same thing if it's the same thing for power moves. It's like, what control do you really have when you're launching a 400-pound man down? What, at the last second, are you going to stop and go, boom, just pick him back up instantly? That takes a lot of energy, a lot of stuff, and could damage your back and also risk the fact you're going to slip and drop them more.
Right. Well, at that point, yes. At that point, yes. But I'm just saying.
But the falling part of the power bomb is the part leading up to the impact, which is as much as Adrian Neville just doing the flip. The run part is equal to him just standing there and putting his arm up before he does it.
No, not really. Not even close. Because the run is the momentum. If he gets that wrong, the rest of the move could go horribly, horribly wrong. He's got to have enough speed to be able to do what he's going to do, and then he has to also, depending on what move he's doing, get enough lift. Otherwise, he can't properly do the move. The run-up is probably the most important part of the move because that sets everything else up. It gives him the power, or lack thereof, that he needs to do the move.
Yeah.
Whereas pulling your arm up doesn't do shit for the move except make it look different.
That part doesn't with the torn, but for example, with a power bomb, when they put them in between the legs, they have to lift them up, balance perfectly, and then start to bring them down perfectly, there's way too much that can fuck up in that one move, and has in multiple instances.
Fair enough.
Vernon, what does Jim think on that?
I understand where both of you guys are coming from. Yeah, I feel like it's important. I do agree. The safety of the wrestlers and the getting the move done correctly is more important than, selling the injuries and telling the story in the ring, because you can live to wrestle another day and tell a story, but if you fuck up a move, you might not be there again. So like I said, I think that, like I said, what I was saying earlier is that Adrian Neville, I feel like, yeah, I get that he was selling the injuries best he could. It just felt like, he did a series of fast kicks and then a jumping drop kick to Wade Barrett's face, and I felt like after he did the drop kick, I felt like he should have grabbed his wrist for a second before he did the next move. But it seemed like he went through this big series of moves before he actually, it just seemed like he was basically shaking, basically he was seeding the injury is how it looked.
I could see that. Like I mentioned, as much as I like Reigns, it was ridiculous at Extreme Rules, Last Man Standing. Completely ass damage, then boom, full lap around the ring to spear him through the barricade.
Yeah.
True.
But yeah, Wade Barrett won, and we have our new king. King Bad News.
You need.
Which I have to say, I'm happy with who won. He deserved it, and out of the people in the tournament, he's managed to make his way through with equal amount of cheating and stuff as other people. So that's pretty cool.
Yep.
Well, Barrett's fine.
Yep, and I'm hoping the king thing with him. I'm looking forward to see where they go with that. Just because when he wore the crown, he did the scepter at the end. He goes in a ball hammer and stuff. It's like, I got a sense he's not going to suddenly turn into King Booker.
Mm-hmm.
No, probably
I get the sense, to put it in terms of fictional kings, he'll be more like the king from 300. Now, yes, 300 itself, you could make a joke, make a comment, it was based upon history, but it wasn't. That's based on the comic, which is a fictionalized version of history.
Yeah, I just hope that they give him like a unique custom cape and stuff, because it kind of disappointed me that the cape and the crown and the scepter is basically what Booker T had, and I'm like, wait, so they just have a generic one? Oh, he needs to have his own.
Yeah, to be fair, they always have a generic one at the actual King of the Ring, at least.
Yeah, even Sheamus got a generic one, and they set him up, and then when they came out on Raw the next night, or whenever the next event was, he suddenly was dressed like fucking Loki.
Yeah, they do a more generic one, because, I don't know, imagine, like, right now, Marcus, the final was, say, Daniel Bryan v Triple H, and at the top of the ramp, you could see it was clearly the King of King's crown. Who's going to win?
Well, no, but I would imagine they'd bring it out after. Like, they would have maybe like a generic crown or something on the throne, and then whenever who wins, then they cart out the unique one. I don't know.
That's not how they normally do King of the Ring. Normally they have a generic crown and cape, and then a ceremony afterwards. Sometimes the kings will then adapt that into their own looks as things go on, if they want to go with a king gimmick.
Mm-hmm. Which I don't see why Barrett wouldn't, because he uses a cape already anyway. This would just be an evolution of his gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like I said, I like the crowning ceremony and his speech at the end. I thought that's pretty cool. Yeah. I'm looking forward to see what they go. He could get a generic, or he could go with a unique cape or something, or he could even keep that one. Because there's been kings that have worn that, as well as King Booker and stuff before, which it kind of works with his build and his look and stuff, and he had the crown and the cape on with flexing and stuff. He kind of looked badass. I don't know why. He looked sort of badass pulling that look off.
He did. I could also see him taking I can see him taking his coat that he wears and modifying that into a cape.
That would also work.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, he already has a cape, but yeah.
I would also laugh if he starts to come up on a throne that has the bad news stuff on it, like the bad news
podium
he used to read all over the throne as it comes up.
That'd be awesome.
He can be the king of BNZ.
There you go.
I miss BNZ. I like that.
Yeah, I do.
That was good.
It only lasted a week or two, but still.
Also, I had to laugh when Barrett spread his arms to have the cape put on him, and then realized that wasn't going to work because the cape had to go around his neck, and he was like, "Well, shit." It's like, "Oops, you fucked up, Barrett."
See, I don't know if he fucked up because it looked like when he spread his arms out, he was sort of flexing, ready for the scepter to be placed in his hand.
See, it looked like to me he spread his arms out to have the cape draped over him without realizing that the cape was a collared cape type thing, so it had to like go around his neck and clasp in the front. I don't think he realized that. That's why he put his arms down to it. He was like, "Oh, yeah."
See, I wasn't sure because normally whenever they've won, a load of kings have done that with the arms out, arrogant pose as they're putting it on and like, "Dress me," and then they get the scepter. And I'm
That's
like, that's how that looked to me.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It looked like he was in the dress me pose and then realized that pose wasn't going to work if he actually wanted him to dress him.
What we're saying is they've used that same cape to dress people in that pose before.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, for whatever reason, it looked like it wasn't going to work because he lowered his hands and then it went around his neck.
Yeah, which I still like and I love JBL at the end of "Hail the King of Bad News," which, like I said to you guys, that's what we need, the King of Bad News. That needs to be his name.
There you go.
If he goes with any other name, like just King Barrett, and doesn't go with King of Bad News, I'm going to be a little disappointed.
Fair enough.
And the King of Bad News can be so huge.
Yeah.
Like, imagine him with that crown and cape, with a red carpet being rolled out to the ring, him walking down and holding up like a king's scroll of declaration to read bad news. That's instant win.
There you go.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid I got some bad news for you, and just reads the whole and reads a scroll of bad news. It'd be hilarious.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid your king has some bad news.
Yep. But I have a prediction, as I mentioned to Jim, or a thought.
Okay.
I think Daniel Bryan was supposed to win.
You think so?
Yes.
Only because, where the hell was this King of the Ring mentioned? It wasn't mentioned until like Extreme Rules, I think. Like the pre-show, people, oh my god, it's coming back. King of the Ring's coming back. Normally with King of the Rings, they would have an event like that and a tournament. It'd be a slightly bigger tournament, fair enough, and they would also have more build-up to it. This just seemed like they announced the Extreme Rules, and then literally the next night they began it.
Yeah, but if Bryan was supposed to win, does that mean he was going to lose to Barrett at Extreme Rules?
I don't know. He could have won and been Intercontinental Champion and King.
Yeah,
see, I don't see that happening, personally. I would say it'd be one or the other. I would say you can't have both, but maybe that's just me.
It might be, because I believe Kurt Angle was European champion when he got crowned, or Intercontinental, one of the two.
Okay, fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, maybe then.
Yeah, Kurt Angle's year, which was really impressive, where he had almost every fucking championship and King of the Ring in one fucking year.
Yeah, see, and I would say that I'm glad that didn't happen, because Bryan doesn't fucking need it. He doesn't really even need the Intercontinental title, but I was okay with him having it. But to have that and King of the Ring, and it's Daniel Bryan, I'd be like, no, that's just too much.
Yeah, unless they were planning to heal him.
Yeah.
True.
Because they could literally turn Daniel Bryan into a King Booker, and instantly the crowd would start booing him.
True.
Yeah.
But I feel Daniel Bryan was at least going to be a massive part of the tournament or something, because somewhere someone's dropped the ball on this King of the Ring and just sort of announced it out of fucking nowhere, and then no build-up. I mean, it says it all when they filmed it during the middle of a SmackDown. You'd think with something like this, they might have, I don't know, booked an extra arena and done a special network presentation of King of the Ring.
You would think.
Or at least changed the set, because that clearly looked like the SmackDown one, just with the fucking King of the Ring logo instead of the SmackDown one in places. All they did is had a throne at the top. I'm like, ugh.
Yeah.
Well, it should be noted upon winning. I'm just looking at Twitter here. I am the Bloody King. People congratulated him. I like good stuff.
Big butts, and I can't lie.
What's that?
You said I like, and I replied big butts, and I cannot lie.
I like this one. At Galloway Speaks, Drew Galloway, a.k.a. Drew McIntyre, sent him a pissed off looking picture of the Queen. Said, I've never seen her so happy. Congrats, mate. Triple H congratulated him. And King Barrett has declared by royal decree that today, it's 15 hours ago, so that is still today, is King Bad News of Barrett Day.
Yay, King Bad News.
King Bad News of Barrett, and he sent out a picture of himself posing in the Cape Crown and Scepter. And then he proceeded to lead Twitter in what appears to be God Save the King. And then he also ordered that we watch at Real McFoley and his hashtag cheap pops on the W Network tonight, or else the King will deal with us.
Nice. I do plan to watch that.
Indeed.
It's pretty bad, but I think it's only a slight spoiler. I think the majority of my if I make it to Xbox, I don't know if I'll have the computer and stuff back by then, but if I make it to Xbox, the majority of my awards, like nearly all of them this week, are all the extra shows.
Hey, that's fun. That's a good thing if WWE has actual use for the network.
Speaking of which, did you see Renee's show yesterday after the... That was awesome.
I didn't get to see that. I need to watch it at some point.
You need to watch that. That was pretty good. It's short, but it's really good.
I'm more excited for Jericho to interview Stephanie tomorrow. That's going to be awesome.
Yep. I'm looking forward to the Stephanie one. I'm looking forward to McFoley. We've had that. We've had the Renee one and stuff. It's like, there's not a single part of this that's bad this week. Even Too Hot for TV was pretty good. It was like a little clip show. It was kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. By the way, I can't remember, so I'm going to ask. The Brie Bella interview, was that on Raw or was that last night?
Someone asked? Hi, person watching.
What?
You said someone asked, so I said, oh.
No, I said I'm going to ask.
Oh, if we said someone asked.
I said I can't remember, so I'm going to ask.
Ah.
Yeah. I can't remember because it's blurring together for me right now, so I can't remember. Was the Brie Bella interview thing spot, was that on Raw or was that last night?
That was on Raw. They might have raised Raw. Uh-huh. Yeah, that was on Raw. The only thing that happened,
I can't 100% say though.
It was on Raw. The only two things that happened tonight were the 3 matches, the interviews of 2 of the competitors in the matches, the Vern Gagne promo, and commercials for the crap that's on the rest of the nights of the week.
And Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus. Why do you keep burying Dolph Ziggler and Sheamus?
It's part of the match.
Yeah, it's part of the ending of the match.
It's part of the same segment.
I guess.
No, it's not I guess. It was part of the same segment. The cameras didn't cut. It was in the same segment. Therefore, it counts.
Yeah, it was basically like at the end of a matchup when someone starts beating someone down, it's still part of the match.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, same difference. This is still part of the match segment.
Fair enough. Yeah, it was relatively short. It's about 50 minutes long, I think, roughly.
Might have been.
Thereabouts.
I couldn't remember how long it was, but it was pretty good. I wish they'd done the whole tournament, or at least more of the tournament in one day, but still.
Yeah, I was going to say that too, but I can understand why, because the final 2 would basically be dead on their feet, and the last match would be complete shit if they did that.
I disagree.
Considering they've done that before as a pay-per-view and it came out awesome.
Yeah.
They did. They didn't do the whole tournament. They usually would do the first round on Raw and SmackDown, and then the rest of it at the pay-per-view.
Yeah, but like I said then, either the whole tournament because it was shorter, or more of the tournament because even in the olden ones, they may have done 1 or 2 leading up to it, but we'd have 4 or 5 King of the Ring matches in one night. This one we got 3.
You have to realize the tournament used to be bigger. You have to realize they only started out with 8 possible competitors, 8 competitors possible for this. Whereas the fact of the matter is that's where the King of the Tournament would pick up at the pay-per-view is with those 4 matches and then 2 and then 1, and it will be 7 matches on the card.
Yeah, because it used to be 16 or something.
Yeah, and they'd have like 16 guys, and they'd do all the qualifiers for the pay-per-view on Raw and SmackDown, yes, but they'd still have 7 matches on the pay-per-view card, whereas this tournament was smaller and was only 7 matches that could have made this whole thing on the event.
They could have. They probably should have.
Now, I understand why they didn't, because they had to record this in the middle of a SmackDown, and between a SmackDown taping and this, and whatever other pre-show they were coming, the people would have been there watching like 6 straight hours of wrestling.
True. They would have been, or they could have also done the other thing. They could have filmed it in 2 days, and like so similar to what they did. But why not get rid of the main event or Smack or Superstars thing that week and just make it those? And oh no, if someone's watching on TV at home, they can like over here where main event is, we get one half of the King of the Ring tournament. No one's going to complain.
There you go.
And it means you could get a 2-hour tournament as a King of the Ring tournament. King of the Ring Part 1, King of the Ring Part 2. It'd be awesome.
It would be awesome.
It would.
Yeah,
Or like you said, just make it a full-on special.
Yeah, that would have been good. Clearly, they threw it together at the last minute, so that's probably why. Otherwise, it probably would have been a bigger spectacle than it was.
Yeah, they either threw it together at the last minute or something happened with their plans that made it seem last minute, like they couldn't have hyped it the way they wanted to, and they had to rework around something.
Like Daniel Bryan fucking himself up?
Like that, or it could be anything really, we don't know. Like it could have been maybe they wanted Seth Rollins to win, but then they decided, oh, based on the fans, let him cash in and become World Heavyweight Champion now.
Yeah, that would have made sense too. They could have done that.
Yeah, there's loads of different possibilities.
Yep.
I'm actually surprised that they didn't put Roman Reigns in the tournament.
I'm glad they didn't put Roman Reigns in the tournament.
Yeah, he didn't need to. Because the thing you have to remember is Roman Reigns is, as far as WWE is concerned, he's a main event superstar. I know the fans didn't want that, but as far as they're concerned, that's the level that he's at. Whereas King of the Ring tournament, sort of like this thing, was meant for like the upper mid card guys, so somebody could get a new gimmick and get pushed up into that main event spot again. That's kind of what it was as well. So I don't think Reigns would have fit in there.
I know, but the reason I was surprised he wasn't in it is because they've been trying to rebuild Reigns after fucking up and bringing Daniel Bryan back too early. And I don't know. I just thought with Return of the King of the Ring, I was like, this could be a way to further build Reigns back up in the eyes of the fans. So I'm just saying, I was surprised. I didn't really expect him to win, but
or more likely, it would have been a further way to piss the fans off by saying, "Look, we're giving you more Roman Reigns. We're giving him more accolades and shit that you don't want him to have."
I will also say, for the record, not every King of the Ring has adopted the King gimmick.
True.
There's been loads of good ones that haven't. Yeah, Bret Hart did, and he did it just to. When Bret won it, I think the first or the second time. But basically, when Bret won it one of the times, it was literally to piss off Hulk Hogan because he left to WCW, so it was to showcase that he could put on 3 or 4 or 5 good matches that were all very different matches on the run, unlike Hogan, who all of his matches seemed the same, to prove that the new generation was better.
Yeah.
Or like Austin. Austin didn't leave King of the Ring and suddenly become a fucking king.
He left it because he was Stone Cold.
True, but he was already turning into that. He just happened to say a catchphrase because various other stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, Reigns winning the King of the Ring. The reason I was glad he wasn't in was for something like Jim mentioned was I honestly thought, oh no, because if you announce to people King of the Ring is coming back, which people have been asking for, like all of us, because it's to help out guys who need work or guys to get over and stuff like that, and then they give it to Reigns, all those people who are like, they're going out their way to push Reigns down our throat, they're going to get pissed, and they're going to turn on him faster.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like, oh look, they brought back King of the Rings just to give it to Reigns.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hoping they bring this back every year, though. I'm hoping it stays back every now.
I hope they expand it and make it back to what it once was. Make it a full-on pay-per-view or a special or something. Even if it's like a network-only special. Yeah.
Network-only show would be cool. Or hell, like I've said, get rid of some of the fucking pay-per-views like Payback and stuff. I mean, in an ideal world, you'd get rid of Hell in a Cell because we don't need that. We don't need that pay-per-view. Hell in a Cell should be able to happen any pay-per-view. But it's a case of get rid of something like Hell in a Cell, let's say, and put King of the Ring there. Boom. Awesome.
Yeah, pretty much.
But I believe we've talked about this now. Did you want to take us out, Jimson?
I thought you were the host.
Yeah, you were the host, but okay.
I'm the host, but Jim's also in charge of the Hang Up Call button.
True. All right, well, thank you for joining us tonight. Talk a little about the King of the Ring. again, join us again for a little later in the week. We will have our XGR, which will be on Friday. Postponed this week, so we can film this tonight, and also because of availability of a computer on the part of Chriz the Mole. And
Actually, it was delayed to Friday because Richter's at work. That was the only reason that was delayed, which is fine, and we do that.
yeah.
So does that mean XGR this week will be without the mole?
Might be. It depends.
Yeah, it depends on if he gets a laptop back in time. We'll see. But there will be an XGR.
I may have to replace the mole then. I can do that. I can fill in for you, mole, if you're not there.
No, it's okay.
Right, don't worry. It's okay. They have Richter. Richter is cool enough to replace everybody and just be the show.
Yeah. Basically, Marcus, you replacing me is sort of like Charlie Sheen replacing Michael J. Fox.
Right. Well, I'll be there anyway because I think immediately before it or shortly before it, we may be doing a Pew Pew Productions review of the Hyrule Warriors DLC. So if I'm there anyway,
that's after.
It depends, because Richter's supposed to come over here after.
Yeah, he's supposed to come over there afterwards, and one of the reasons you said to do it on the Friday is Richter would be over there. So if he's coming over there after XGR, it has to be after, because that's when he's there.
Let me see what I have in here.
Stop.
You're right.
We'll do this. No, stop. We'll do this when we get off the air. The fans don't need to hear arguing about our schedule.
We're not arguing. We're not arguing. Marcus just kept saying, you're right, and you kept screaming, shut up.
Yeah, I just looked up. Okay, yeah, you're right. We do have it set. So it'll be after XGR. Then we'll be doing the DLC. So be on the lookout for that. That should be fun. It's not going to be that long because it's just DLC, people. But we felt, all the DLC's out now. We might as well review it since we did review Hyrule Warriors when Hyrule Warriors came out.
Which makes sense. So, stay tuned for the XGR. Stay tuned for a little Hyrule Warriors look. And, of course, X Marks coming up on Saturday night where we'll cover more of the wonderful things this week, ranging from Raw to Jericho podcasts, Mick Foley specials, Renee Young, everything we got this week will be covered in awards in some capacity, I'm sure. So stay tuned for all of that.
More than likely, yeah.
And we will see you next time here on the X Pound. Good night, everybody.